Did you see the series finale, The Big Bang Theory? It was hysterical as ever, but also quite moving. However, the episode before, the next to last episode in that series, had to be by far the most powerful episode they've ever done in that show's long 12-year run. Romans 3:23 is a verse that Christians often love to quote. In it, Paul says that we are all sinners, that we all fall short of the glory of God. As a result, we stand in need of forgiveness. We need to be made right with God. Since we can't fix ourselves, our only hope is the mercy and grace of God. This is a core teaching of Christianity, this universal need for forgiveness. In fact, it's the reason Jesus came to earth. And it's what distinguishes Christianity from every other major world religion. But there's something about this teaching that makes us want to protest. I'm no sinner. Sure, I might make mistakes, but I don't go around committing huge sins, major sins all the time. I'm basically a good person. In fact, what the world needs isn't for Christians to keep reminding us of how sinful we are, making us feel guilty. What the world really needs is for people to be reminded of how good they are. Seeing the good in other people is what will bring that good out of them and help them become their best selves. However, when Christianity teaches that we're sinners, it's not saying that we all go around committing terrible sins all the time. It's not saying that we are on average basically decent, well-behaved people most of the time. It's not saying that we are good. Quite the opposite. Christianity teaches that we are created in the very image of God. It teaches that we have an intrinsic goodness given to us by the fact that we, among all of creation, are the thing that most mirrors God. It teaches that we are capable of doing wonderful things, amazing things, and often do. Christianity sees in us the highest possible good, the very likeness of God. But it's also realistic. It's also honest about our broken human condition, about the fact that we so often fall woefully short of living up to this image of God, of reflecting this all-loving God, which is a point that's hard to argue with. For example, just this day, have you loved every person that's come into your life to the fullest possible potential? Me neither. Are all your relationships perfect? Thought not. See, when Christianity talks about us being sinners, what it means is that despite our best intentions, we often are far more self-absorbed and far less loving than we ought to be. We are addicted to ourselves. The great scholar of comparative religions, Rudolf Otto, once did this famous comprehensive study where he showed that throughout all of history and every culture throughout time, that there's a nearly universal human feeling, overwhelming feeling of dread in the presence of what he called the noumen, or the transcendent, or God. And as others have pointed out, people like C.S. Lewis, what fuels this dread is this awareness, this knowledge of how short we have fallen, of how we have not become everything we were created to be. In other words, we feel this abject terror in the presence of a holy God because we know we stand in need of His forgiveness. We know that we need to be set right with Him and that we aren't, that we need His forgiveness in order to be made right with Him. And this profound need for forgiveness is something that only Christianity addresses. If you're a fan of The Big Bang Theory, you know that one of its main characters, Leonard, has a very contentious relationship with his mother. She's a neuroscientist, psychologist, and author who often sees him more as a research project than as a son. Although he craves her attention throughout his life, she has continually let him down. Her stoic personality has continually hurt him time and time again, failed to give him the affirmation and affection that he longs for. In this next to last episode of the series, it all comes to a head. She at first appears to be proud of his recent accomplishments, giving him the attention and affirmation and affection that he's always longed for. But it turns out that it was all a ruse, that she was simply doing it as an experiment for another book that she's writing. When Leonard finds this out, he is deeply wounded yet again, and he's infuriated. On the verge of going ballistic on her, though, he has a moment of shocking lucidity, and he turns to her and says, "I forgive you." At first, his mother seems to want to respond defensively. Her affect is as if, she's got her guard up and she's about to launch into what she always does, which is to tell him how great a mother she is. That as a psychologist, she knows how to mother. She's been a great mother to him. But his words do something to her. They lift that incredible burden she's been feeling of how often she's let him down. They lift that burden off of her. And in front of our very eyes, this cold and detached woman simply melts. She thanks Leonard for forgiving him, and then she even gives him a hug, maybe the most awkward mother-son hug in history. Leonard's simple words of forgiveness washed all that pain and disappointment away. His words washed away all the ways that she had let him down and now couldn't do anything about. Washed it all away. And that the emotion of that scene made that show the most powerful in the history, the 12-year history of the Big Bang Theory. It poignantly depicted how awesome it is and liberating it is to be forgiven. As much as we might want to protest that we're good people, we're basically good people, and we don't need to be forgiven, deep down we know how short we fall. We know how woefully we have not been the people that we are created to be. And that innate dread that we sense, that overwhelming dread that we sense in the presence of a holy God, reveals our profound need for forgiveness. At the core of Christianity stands a Savior who offers that forgiveness. No matter how short you have fallen, He will set you right with God. He will turn your dread into joy. So what do you think? Do you think Christianity has it right about our need for forgiveness? Go to the Contact EJ page of the Raising Jesus website and let me know what you think. I'd love to hear from you. Also, please keep liking our Facebook page, subscribing to our YouTube channel, and telling your friends about us. I really appreciate it. Thank you.